I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Leonard Village Council. I want to welcome you. Today is April the 8th, 2019. And I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a brief invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us this evening. Be with the families that are hurting because of losing loved ones. We are so sorry for their loss. Bless the council members as they make decisions guiding this village. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Shar. Okay, we have a roll call for attendance of the village council.
President McDonald?
Here.
Mrs. Sudbury?
Here.
Mrs. Leonard?
Here.
Mrs. Swack? Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
We'll note for the record that trustee Swack is excused and that clerk Cindy Groskoff and treasurer Judy Verse are present. Council has before it the minutes of the regular meeting on March 11th. Are there any questions, changes, or corrections? If none, a motion to approve the minutes would be in order.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'd like to second that motion.
Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say no. Okay, council has before it a proposed agenda. With the council's indulgence, we thought an item under new business, Michigan State Housing Development Authority application. Are there any other requests? None. Motion to approve the agenda as amended would be in order.
I make a motion we approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor of the agenda as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. Council has before it the treasurer's report for the month of March. Any questions on the report? If none, a motion to receive and file it would be in order.
I so move.
Second.
Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Leonard?
Aye. Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Sudbury?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
All opposed, please say no. Hearing none, motion carries. To approve or to receive and file the treasurer's report. Okay, next item is accounts payable for the month of March. Are there any questions? If none, a motion to pay the bills for March would be in order.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $35,840.49 for general, $5,438.10 for major, $58 for local, 0 for parks and recreation.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call to pay the bills, please?
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonard?
Yes.
Mrs. Sudbury?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Motion carries to pay the bills in the amounts. Okay, at this time, it's an opportunity for the public to address the village council. This is not a question and answer period. We ask that if you are here on business that is coming before the council as part of the agenda, that you address it at that time. Saying that, we ask you to be brief and to the point, 3 or 4 minutes. And who would like to go first?
This has nothing to do with that, but I just wonder if anybody's gonna work on the alley this year.
To do with what?
Grade it, it's got potholes
Well,
all
I'm
over
gonna-
it.
What's got to do with
I
that?
tell you what, that's just what I said, I don't think it has anything to do with that, but I wanted to get that in.
Oh, you mean the agenda doesn't have anything to do with
Right.
that? Okay. Okay. We'll take a look at it. I'm sure Don knows what it needs. Anybody else? Yes.
First of all, a while ago I submitted a petition, we collected a lot of signatures last year at Strawberry Festival. I just kind of, never heard anything back from the village at all. It's Michigan legislature, it's supposed to be 90 days, what's going on? Are we doing this or?
There's no requirement before it responds. However, the village has chosen not to act on your request.
Okay, I'd like to submit Michigan legislation. It is, the village is in violation of Michigan law.
I'm not going to argue with you.
No, don't.
Put it down. Thank you. Sir, you all set?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
I was down at the courthouse the other day with my daughter. She had something to do, and I stopped into the register of deeds and pulled up some deeds for the property across the street that was torn down in the 60s. So I'm continuing my history lesson. Anyway, I had stated that 6 of the 7 buildings across the street were torn down because the owners in the village didn't want to upgrade and meet basic health standards of the time. The outhouses had to go one way or another. So I found out that the east building and the west buildings of the group were torn down by the owners. The east lot was given to the village and the west lot to the township. The buildings and the lots on 3 and 4 were given to the village in 61 and 62. I'm not sure who removed the buildings, but it looks like the village removed them as they had possession at that time. But I'm not sure.
Excuse me, Dave. What lots exactly are you talking about? Can you make us all aware? Because you're just talking lots and it's kind of,
All the buildings, the lots, okay, you know where Olson's house is?
right?
Okay, in the little yellow building,
Right.
there was a lot there.
Okay,
And then there was a lot next to the gas station.
okay,
And
All right.
then the middle was where the post office is today.
okay.
Okay. Are we going to repeat this destruction on the north side of Elmwood? I'm kind of here tonight to help Dave Blocky with his situation if I can. Dave is being picked on by the village for not maintaining a building he can't use. This village had a warning that we needed sewers in the 60s and in 2006. Gino started pursuing sewers in 2007 as the village president, but didn't get to continue. I have seen no progress since Gino left. I have stated before that the buildings on small lots wouldn't be able to rebuild if the houses were destroyed. This is per Oakland County Health Department. The buildings from Olson's to Frost are very close and could all burn on a windy day. And they would not be able to live in those lots. As I observed the March meeting, I'm not sure the village council was totally on board with sewers. I see no commitment. Oakland County Health Department has stated clearly the problem in the 2006 study. I think I gave that to the council last meeting or so. High water tables, small lots, and poorly drained soils make correction improbable. The concern is with the original village of Leonard, some of Brewer's and Whitehead's addition. Most of the village isn't an issue to the state or the health department. I don't see us getting sewers in the next 10 years as many communities apply and not all get grant money. It's not uncommon to take at least 7 years after applying to get sewers. We probably would have sewers by now if the work Gino started in 2007 would have been continued. I'm not sure how long Dave wants to hold on to a building he can't use but is forced to maintain. I know what they did in the 60s across the street when they were in the same situation. Will history repeat itself in Leonard? I don't know. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes,
Who's the ordinance enforcer in the village?
I am.
How long have you been the ordinance enforcer?
Since I became village president,
So the building official has never been the ordinance enforcer?
he was for a few months, yes, when I first took office.
And who appointed you ordinance enforcer?
Council.
When was that? A few months after you became president?
Yeah, it was basically by consensus.
So if you don't want to follow Michigan
This is
law...
not a question and answer. If you have something to say, please say it, but we need to move along.
Okay, make any comment. If you don't want to follow Michigan law, you're committing a fraud on everybody here in the village, right?
Are you done?
Yes, I love you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to address the council? You've had a turn. Does anybody else want to address the council? If not, we'll go back. Sure, go ahead.
Has any village money been spent on the mill?
No. Well, in acquisition of the mill, the original purchase, there was a matching fund, so yes.
And how much was that?
$6,000, $6,000.
So the village spent $6,000 on the mill.
Right.
They find that more important than getting a sewer study done? Well, you're the president, you should know what's going on.
Well, according to you, I don't know what I'm doing, so, you know,
Did I say that?
you inferred it. Okay, if you're all done, we'll move on. Anybody else? Okay, new business. Tonight, we'd like to get the village council to authorize the publication for reprogramming of community development block grant funds to be used for appropriate purposes. Currently, the funding that we have from 2016 needs to be reprogrammed, which means we can either have it reprogrammed for use in the village, or we can return it to the county for their use. At this time, we have $3,947.93 in that year's budget. So the county has suggested that we reprogram at least the $3,000 from youth services to battered and abused spouses, which would be Haven. I think it's operating out of Pontiac, but don't quote me. And then the balance really is $947.93, unless we could reprogram it to minor home repair, which is the current use.
Do we have anyone that can use it for minor?
Well, it's an
That's asked
emergency, it's
for?
like an emergency thing.
Okay.
When somebody has a problem, then we have the money to help them, you know, if they're qualified, so. But it's entirely up to the council. If we want to reprogram it, if we don't reprogram it, it will go back to the county, all of it. So, and they'll use it for whatever purposes they decide. So, we just need direction. That'll involve authorizing publication of the reprogramming in the general newspaper. And then next month, we would optimally reprogram it at that time, if we were gonna do it.
There are a couple seniors' homes that could use some minor home repair, but I don't know that anyone is looking out for those homes to take care of them. I know that's a little vague, but I don't know if they're even worried about it at this stage. I guess that's what I should say.
Well, our program is administered through the village, and if somebody fills out an application and provides the necessary information, income data, what the needs are, we can deal with it. And we have money from current year. I mean, we have $16,000 in minor home repair right now. So, but one well and a couple furnaces can use most of that, so.
And we have most of it that's gonna be going back, correct? It was like,
If we don't, if we take no action, $3,947.63 will be returned to the county.
But if over the next month people find somebody to use it, we could reprogram it all in minor home repair and get the work done.
But we have to find somebody that wants to use it.
And they can qualify.
And you can qualify. And when does this money go away again?
They have a question for us to spend it. Or repro, or give it back to them.
I
As
guess,
soon as possible, thank you, okay, yeah.
I guess my thought would be if we should just reprogram it because we have 16,000 and we're talking maybe 25% of it. So I mean, even if we did a well, that's half of it. I mean, at this point in time, yes, we don't have anything on the slate for it, but I think I'd rather see it go to like a youth program or something rather than having to give them back to the state or, you know, the grantee or.
Okay, so we'll, by consensus, we'll just go ahead and plan on reprogramming next month. Maybe you,
Public hearing next month.
and we'll have a public hearing to do that. We'll figure out what to do with all the money.
And in the meantime, if we can find out if somebody needs it,
Absolutely, I would say if we can find someone that can use it, let's purpose it for local use, but if not, let's at least give it to the youth.
Yeah, all it would take would be really, at the $3,000, or at the $947, it would only take, one job. You can't get a whole lot done for less than that, so.
but if we found something new, we could reprogram the 3,000 over to it and then use
Right.
it.
Can we put a notice out on our website saying that if there's anyone that could and can qualify, if they're looking for some help with home improvements, to let us know by next meeting?
Yeah, we could put something on the website.
Yeah, I guess Cindy, if you give me like an overview of like what people would qualify for, just what you'd want to see on this website, I'll throw it up there, because it shouldn't take that long to put it on the website.
Because we tend to think about our oldest citizens, but every year our citizens are getting older, and there may be some others that qualify that we are not aware of or have even thought of.
Well, there are likely a few younger folks that are not that would meet the income guidelines.
Well, like, low income is 45,000 for a household of 2. 51,000 for a household of 3.
Our median household income right now is about 52,000 in the village. So
Right.
there's a good percentage that would qualify if they know about it.
Right, I'm just trying to think, because I think a lot of residents don't even know about it, that it's even an option for them.
Okay, well then,
Did I hear you say right at the beginning of this that you're requalifying from youth assistance? Is that what you said?
reprogramming.
Reprogramming?
We're talking about it, yes.
Okay.
It was recommended by the county
Okay.
to do that if we weren't gonna give it to youth services. And the only reason we wouldn't give it to youth services is they have to demonstrate the service. They have to jump through a few hoops to do that, and I guess they haven't been able to qualify that.
Yeah, everything's income qualified.
Everything's what income qualified.
Income qualified, and we haven't had anyone qualify.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But seniors typically automatically qualify.
It's still, yeah, typically, but not because of age, because of income.
But generally with CDBG, they usually are in that bracket.
Okay. All right, then we'll advertise and pick it up next week. Okay, this is a redo here, folks. We'll call this a second reading for the Code of Ordinances Amendment on fireworks. We approved it last month and failed to get the publication done in the leader, so we have to reapprove it again or approve it again at this time. And then we'll meet the legal test.
And read these copies that they got are the good ones for their books.
I don't know that they've got them yet.
They're in their
Yeah.
packs.
Oh, okay.
This is-
That's the replacement.
Right. She might have that.
Okay, so is there a motion then to adopt the amendment to the Code of Ordinances for fireworks as presented?
I so move.
Second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Aaron?
Yes.
Okay. The village received bid summary from road maintenance this year for the 2019 season. There's, I think the per foot cost is the same as last year.
It is.
And there's a $50 fee for the Pollyant parking lot.
That was the same as last year.
And that's the same too. So I would recommend to the council that we approve this submission. They'll probably be doing most of the township too, so.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the bid as presented for dust control.
I'd like to second that.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call please for that?
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Aaron?
Yes.
Okay, it's approved. Okay, I've added to the agenda tonight the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. They are having there's a $10,000 grant that the village is eligible for neighborhood enhancement programs. And I sent the council, apologize it got to you late, but there are several items that the village could probably use the money for. Among them, it could be used to beautify, not sure of the technical term, neglected or,
Light?
yeah, structures. But anyway, what I would like to do is have the council's approval to go ahead and submit an application. You just have to kind of help me decide what we're going to apply for, to use the money for. I don't think we're going to use it. One of the things you can use it for is for private residential improvements.
You can?
You can, but the amount that we have and the qualifications to do it are like, they're huge.
Okay.
So I was thinking in terms of, since people want to see the village spruced up more, that we try to find a neighborhood enhancing project that we could take on. So the amount of money available is $10,000. It's based on the 2010 census. And the programs are just as I had sent out in that email. I would like to find out if we could use any of it for downtown beautification purposes, like benches, waste disposal, things like that. I got a feeling we're not, because it wasn't specifically listed, but it wasn't a very precise document. It didn't give you a lot of guidance on what you could or couldn't do.
My understanding of reading that, Mike, and tell me if I'm wrong, but the items that we would use to beautify, so you guys understand, have to be permanent. So think of permanent type fixtures that we could use for. That was my understanding of it when I read it.
And I think if we were to try and do individual residences, there's a possibility that they would have to make payments. They'd be small to repay it, or lien. They could accept the lien on the property. So,
What about this building?
well, one of the uses would be if you have run down or dilapidated structures, you can beautify them by boarding them up and having it painted or whatever. And the only use that came to mind with that one was the mill. You know, we could sheathe the lower part of it or something and paint it. But
My only thought would be is when they go into, because they've got to raise it, the mill, to restack and redo that entire foundation to do it correctly. So you're talking, and the cranes have to come in. So I would be afraid that there could be some damage done. I mean, even if you want to beautify it, and I'm not sure $10,000 is really going to go that far in that. So that would be my question in doing it there.
okay. How about this? Does anybody need more information or want more time to look it over?
Well, I guess my thought is, I think, what about like updating our signs or updating like our light posts on the four corners? Do you know what I mean?
I think those are all eligible. We could get new signs.
Like decorative ones, do you know what I
Yeah, we
mean?
could get signs on the east and west side of the village, showing the village, like we do at the north and south, showing the village limit, you know.
Or I know Michelle had brought up on the decorating committee, what about doing a fire pit down at the nature park for people to use? Like if we did a hard landscape fire pit with benches and things to make
Like
it
the
more.
township did that.
Yeah, something like that, so that way it makes you want to go there and you know that's just, because currently right now when you drive by it, to me, it looks like somebody's piece of property. It doesn't look like a park.
Well, it's a sign.
Yeah, it's a little sign, but even if you're driving by it, and I guess my other thought is understanding it's not a playground, but if we did that, I know that there's musical stands that are permanent for kids to play. So you're not talking about gym equipment, right? Like on a playground, you're talking like they've got little bongos, but they're permanent fixtures. And if you placed a couple of those with the bonfire pit, it would make it so people might want to really go there. Or it might be a stop from the Pollyant Trail.
So technically they could be considered educational?
I was thinking it'd be,
recreational?
yeah. So I was thinking it'd be more an education thing for them. Again, like I said, I think they have like xylophones. The links I sent out to everybody, if you actually go on that with the playground equipment, there's actually musical equipment on there that you can actually look at.
I think the city of Cadillac has some, and I've seen them.
So I'm just trying to mentally think of giving people a place to go, like, hey, let's go do this with the kids, or, you know, and if there's a bonfire there, recreational, if we could do that, and then, you know, people could look up at the sky, maybe they have even telescopes and things of that nature.
Okay, well, that gives me something to make inquiries about and determine, and we can, if council is on board, we'll authorize the village president to submit the application for the funding. There is no match. It's a straightaway grant, but you have to, it is they do use some type of system to grade them, like which communities are more affected or make the most improvement. So if I would ask for a motion then to authorize the village president to make the application to the MISHDA grant program for eligible neighborhoods. And I'll fill out the application to suit what I learned. I'll ask about those items. See what we can do.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the village president to proceed with that grant application.
I'd like to second that motion.
Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. All right. Regarding sanitary sewers, under old business, Trustee Sotheby and myself, and I met with representatives from the United States Department of Agriculture and with the village engineering, consulting engineer, Doug Skyless, and had a educational and very good meeting to learn more about loans and grants for the purpose of funding sanitary sewer systems. In your packet tonight, I put on the table looks like this, but it's not in color. It says water and sewer disposal loan and grant. And in that, it gives you the grant and interest rates. And also on the third page, it gives you a bond schedule, because as a municipality, we would likely have to bond it. We couldn't, we would repay it with funds generated by the users, but we would have to borrow the money as a bond. And they show that for a principal, if you borrow $500,000, your payment each year it varies from like $22,000 to $23,000 for each year. And if you borrow $2 million, it goes up to $91,000 a year. So you'd have to divide that up by the number of months and the number of users to come up with the cost. Now that's just for the cost of the facility. That doesn't include the cost of operating it.
Or buying the land.
Or, well, yeah, you can buy land.
Right.
You can roll it into this.
Right.
Right. So that's why I say the likelihood of doing it for $500,000 is slim to none, unless it were to be just a community septic system, and it didn't require a facility that would, do the separation and all that. So that said, we've got a lot more information now, and we'll try and answer any questions. So, does the council have any questions on this? Or anything you need us to find out?
The 25,000 could be rolled into that amount of money as well for the study, if they go that route.
Right, only if we do the study.
Right.
If we pay for it. And
If we do the sewer, then we don't
But
be.
they will reimburse us retroactively if we take a loan out.
Okay.
A lot of times they don't do that. A lot of federal agencies block grants like that. You can't spend money and then ask for it back later after you apply, but that's not the case here.
Have we heard back if we can get any, I know there was Addison Township, if they can help contribute, is there any money there? Because I know you were going to talk to them. Did that go any?
Yeah, there's no amount at this point,
Okay.
but the township administration seems to feel it'd be worth some support.
Okay.
And people brought up the issue of people in the township or on Lakeville Lake going with us. That would change the median income to where we wouldn't be eligible for a grant at all because they're higher income
Right.
there. So that you have an answer for that question.
And we did discuss it though, in terms of, okay, if we build the facility and Addison wants to join us at some point in the future, they were amenable to that. You know, as long as we build what we need ourselves, if we're gonna make it any bigger, that'll have to come later. Can't build it over capacity now. We can only
Right.
build it to the area that we're gonna serve. So,
And when it comes to hookup, households where the owner is 62 or older, they would be eligible for some help with hookup.
yeah, they have some grants that are not through this program.
Correct.
But will assist with hookups if you meet the eligibility qualifications. There's one other thing, Shar, what else?
I'm checking my notes.
There was a question about, you do have to hook up. If you're within 200 feet of the planned area, state, or this program requires that you have to hook up within 6 months.
Does that include companies too? Or just residents?
Whoever is in the area you designate to be
Okay.
served, yes, everybody would have to hook up. And if we include, let's just say a school or a big, like Cooper Standard, they would have to figure out how many residential units
Right.
with, you know, how much waste they generate, and then that would be proportionally, they'd have to build a facility to accommodate that as well. So,
I ask about backups because that's what, we hear on the news all the time, that there's, flooding and then their sewers back up, and that was one of my major concerns. And he said because of the way, if I can express it correctly, the way our homes are built, we're built with a septic system. So our hookups are on ground level. Whereas these homes in the city, the hookups come below the basement level. And so there would be the difference, and he didn't guarantee there'd be no backup, but that's why there isn't usually a backup in this type of system.
okay, anybody else? Questions?
I have a question. If this was to go through, what would we do with our existing septic tanks? Is that something that came up yet? Like, do we have to abandon them, delete them, or do we have to take them out?
I believe the county, and I think they would prefer removal, but I've heard that they'll let you fill them with sand.
It didn't come up at our
Yeah, it
meeting.
might be something we might want to consider as well, just for, because it's going to be added expense to, each resident if this does.
Anybody else?
How much area of the village are you planning?
Well, we haven't got
These
the,
numbers that you're saying?
well, that actually would be part of the product of the study, to figure out where it would make the most sense. You heard somebody say tonight that only a few houses on the south side of Elmwood, where the stores and that used to be, where there's small lots, would benefit, but I know the structure next to me, to the east, they can't have a washing machine and dryer because they don't have enough septic capacity. So there are other lots that would benefit in the village. But it would mean that it would force anybody to join if we move forward with it.
Well, forgive me for speaking up, but I thought Doug said at the end of the meeting that he was not sure that was legal. When checked on that, the women said yes, you would have to, you would be forced to. And he said that he had consulted I assume their attorney, and that he did not think that was legal, that they could force you to hook up.
Yeah, it also had something to do with the fact that when you designate the district, if you exclude a parcel, say we excluded distinctive design for whatever reason, even though they're on both sides, if people on both sides were served, if that isn't included in the district, then they're not forced.
Okay, that's
They're
maybe what I
not forced to be
misunderstood.
included,
Okay,
but you have to exclude them specifically
okay.
from the designated area. Okay, well, I know since I gave this information to you, our meeting was just last week, so I didn't get it out to everybody. So I would recommend that we table this until next meeting, and then we can discuss further what we want to do.
I'd just like residents to think about, it's a lot of money to spend. And if in the end, we don't do it, it's monies that would be used for the village, for the truck, for repairs. Just, you need to think about all those things, and we do operate on a very, very low budget. Your taxes haven't been increased in a long time, so they try very hard to use the money that's here. So I'm not saying one way or the other, I'm just saying think about those things too when you think about the study. I'm all for getting it done, I'm just not for taking $25,000 out of the general fund.
Is that what everybody, all engineers charge, or are there some that are cheap?
You know, that's a funny thing, because I got an email from a resident about that, and the consulting engineers are kind of, they don't like doing it. They don't like competing kind of that way, because they know that Rowe is already our servicing company. So they would give us an estimate, but I don't know that it would be a low ball trying to get in underneath, you know? If the village decides to do the study, we will ask for additional bids, but until we do that, if we do
Yeah, because
that.
I mean, if you would have done for 20,000 instead of 25, that would be great, you know?
Sure.
If they do a correct job.
Well, that's the one nice thing about having a relationship with the company too, is you know what you're gonna get, what your expectations are versus somebody new, so. Okay, is there any other questions? If not, I was just doing some quick math here. I was curious to see if we had to borrow $2 million, the first year we'd have to repay $91,500. And if we had 50, say if we served 50 parcels, that comes to $1,830 a year for the service. So if you divide that by 12, you're talking $152 a month. Now, currently, if we make a decision before the next census, up to 45% of that 152 could be forgiven, which would mean $68 a month.
But you also, that does not include the service, correct?
That's just to repay the bond.
Because you have to have a maintenance worker, and I did ask if we could share with other communities, because obviously we are small, we would have a small system. Is there such a program? And he said, it couldn't be done. There are some that do that, but it would take some exploring to find out. Because I asked, would we be needing somebody 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week? And there wasn't an answer because it would depend on the type of system. So there could be something like that, a service district or something. that would use, maybe we would use the same guy that, say, Almont or another community would use, possibly.
And that doesn't include hookup costs either.
No.
The residents would have to pay for that as well. Yes.
Is it, I mean, what Dan is trying to say every month, isn't he kind of saying like, either we do it now or we have to do it later, and we're forced to do it later? It's gonna be more expensive. Dave. Yeah, sorry, Dave. So, what he's saying right
I didn't
now,
hear him say that.
he basically explains that almost like every meeting. He's,
Oh, you mean?
Rathburn.
Bradford, yeah. So we might like, okay, I don't want to pay the money now, but we're gonna be forced to later. I mean, we're not getting better. It's gonna get worse and worse and worse, and then we're gonna be forced to, and we might not have these grants. So that's what I'm asking. Are we thinking about that?
Think about this, the man who's pushing this doesn't even live in the district where it's gonna be serviced.
Yeah, he loves this town. He does.
Put your money where your mouth is, and I'm not pointing it at you. I'm just saying that sometimes people have a lot to say who will not be expending any money for that service either. And so
I just hear what he's a smart man, and I feel like every time he talks, you guys are just like, okay, come on,
Well,
whatever.
a lot of us have heard that before. Dave sat on this village council, and the only time he got involved, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shar was there, Judy and Cindy, is when he had to spend money. If he bought a building permit because he had to fix something, he wanted a rebate. Otherwise, he would sit and not say a word, unless it was a vote. But now, for some reason, and Paul, you were there, for some reason now, because it would benefit him, I'm sure it would double, he's not put a dime into that property that he owns here.
Right.
He hasn't done anything but annoy people with the little yellow building, and I've told him to his face. He cuts corners, he does illegal septic work, nobody complains, everybody minds their own business. Now, he's on a mission, and Dave only works for Dave himself. But Chris, you're right.
Do you think we?
It's not gonna get cheaper.
Yeah.
You're absolutely.
That's my point. I know he talks for a long time, and
Yeah.
I just think he's got a good
Well,
point.
look at this,
Yeah.
in Leonard, and despite what Mr. Rathburn said about not being able to rebuild, he's absolutely wrong. If your property burns, you have 6 months to start to rebuild it. And the Oakland County Health Division is not gonna refuse to let you repair your old septic so you can rebuild. If they were to try to stop you from building on your property, that would be considered a taking, and they would end up owning your lot because you would take them to court, and they would have to give you the fair market value for your property. That said, it just doesn't make sense. You can't believe everything that everybody believes. And my point, on Lakeville Lake, they've had a large number of septic failures. And they've talked about doing the same thing, having a special district for septic service. And the township supervisor and I had talked about doing it jointly, something like that, until the income question came up. As far as being able to get a good deal on a grant for the village. But they still haven't done anything. It's up to the individual property owner, and that's kind of what our society is about. Everybody has a piece of property, and they want to use it to their highest, best use, be it a store or be it a home. But if you don't want to invest the money, there are ways to get things done. There is a way to get a package treatment system and make a viable use of property. But it is expensive. So if you don't want to spend the money, what you're seeing here in the village, at least with the commercial businesses, that's what's going on. It really is. It's a question of money. Who wants to spend it? And do you want to spend your money just for the benefit of a few? And that's why the council has to talk about these things. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
You were in the meeting though, did they ask that if you tap into it, does your loan, your personal loan portion have to be paid off when you sell that house?
Yes, it does.
So
See, it's a-
whatever amount you
Yeah.
loan, they're gonna take from that.
It's
Yeah.
a 40-year loan that they issue. So if your house has the sewer and you, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, decide to sell, whatever amount is your portion will come out of the sale before you get any money. Just so that you understand that. I'm not pushing one way or the other, but that was people were saying yes, some people were saying no, but we asked, and that has to be satisfied first before a sale can be complete.
And that's because we're borrowing using public money. There are other ways to finance systems. You can do it kind of like we do with roads, pledging our Act 51 money or our general fund money against a bond. But for this amount of money to build a facility, install the plumbing underground, we're talking over $1 million. Well, so it wouldn't make sense for us to borrow at commercial rates when we can get the state rates are much lower.
So, I got a question. If a person's 88 years old, okay, and their long-term on earth here is gonna be like 4 years.
Or
And they-
20.
Or 20, but I'm not gonna make it that far. So, and someone took over my house, they would have to pay that amount
What do you
to hook up?
If you sold the house?
Well, he's obviously not gonna be around for the next 40, so that loan's
Right.
gonna stick with his house. So
Well, I wouldn't know, I wouldn't be able to answer that. My suspicion is that if it was passed on to family or whatever, that it would just
It'd stay
continue
with
to-
the house, but if the house is sold,
Yeah.
then it has to be satisfied.
Yeah. So it's all in how you engineer it, you know, if you,
That sucks.
It does.
And you know,
well,
the thing is, we're talking all this money here and how much it's gonna cost, but a lot of the retirees, if you retired back in 1988, you got a certain amount, and you're not gonna get no more. Your pay hasn't gone up any since
That's right.
1988. So,
If
you
you're
know,
over 62, there's assistance.
do what?
But if you're over 62,
Yeah, but you get the assistance, but you gotta follow the,
The assistance is only for the hookup.
yeah. So, you know, there's people that are in that situation. Right there is one. He's about as old as I am. And, you know, that doesn't go up. And the cost of living and all that stuff goes going up.
and that's why we're talking about it. We want to try and be as transparent as possible. The council hasn't decided they want to do it, and we haven't decided we don't want to do it. But the study is the only way that we'll know a ballpark idea of what is feasible for the community. The question is I think based on the survey, more than 50% of the people were not for doing it at all. I mean, or they had a reason like, I don't know how much it costs, so I can't decide. And do I have to, I think we should have a sewer, but I don't want to have to hook up. So when it push comes to shove and we say, we do the study and then everybody says, well, I'm not going to pay that much. I don't want to have to pay, you know, $68 a month plus, let's call it $100 a month. That's $300 a quarter, you know, for sewer service. That money will have been spent for the study and it won't maybe be the most efficient way to spend the money.
And the other thing, Mr. Rathberg said he had all this money that would be donated for this study. We have not seen or heard of any amount yet contributing to this study.
Have you asked?
We
Chris?
were prepared to tonight, but
But he
he's
left.
not in attendance now.
And if you remember, you were here last meeting, we put him in charge of a committee meeting
Yeah.
of asking, it was gonna be myself and Michelle on that committee. And as far as I know, Michelle has not heard from him, and nor have I, outside of this.
How did you try to get a hold of them? Like email?
Well, it's just yeah, he could email, he could call up here, but like usually when you're in charge of the committee, you
Yeah.
take, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did he know he was in charge? I didn't know he was in charge.
He knew.
He knew.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand.
He knew, I said, but because on committees, my understanding, correct me if I'm incorrect, guys, because I know I've only got a couple months under my belt, is that a trustee has to sit on any of the committees. So I said, since I nominated him to run the committee, I said I'd be the trustee that would sit on the committee.
I guess I misunderstood it myself.
So that's all, and that's when Michelle said that she would join with me, yeah.
And he recognized.
And he
you after
recognized.
you said that, so he knew that he was on it.
And he said that he was fine with that.
Yep, he did.
Which is great. You know, we want as much input as possible. And that's, I'm not being facetious, because this is a huge decision. This is a major step for a little village to be talking about doing this.
And it's being made sound like we are the bad guys here. We're not trying to be the bad guys. Our responsibility is to make wise use of the monies that are in this community and do what the people want. If 90% of the people wanted the sewer study, it would have already been started. But that's not what that survey said.
But I mean, like, you guys came back with some numbers tonight, which is what people are really just looking for. So you're taking the steps forward that.
We're trying.
That's all anyone was asking, you know, like, just kind of gather some information, and then we can make a logical decision on how to move forward.
The people that we met with were really, really knowledgeable of these systems, and they were very helpful and very eager to answer all our questions. They are willing to come to council and make a presentation should we want them to.
Well, let me ask, would you guys want them to? I know we're kind of light today on people attending, but would you want them to come in and do a presentation? Maybe if we let people know?
I think that would be a great idea, but I think we should really try to generate more attendance too, so there's more in attendance to hear them speak, because if it's the same individuals every month that are hearing the same thing over and over, it's not getting out.
Almost like use Facebook to get the word out.
Or some, I don't know,
Right.
but,
Yeah, and-
No.
I mean, it's hard to get attendance at meetings, I know that personally, but.
I know we've done a pretty good job for the last year or so. Not intentionally, but we get plenty of attendance, so.
Why don't we start, can you put something out? That if, to at least show interest for next month, if they come, and that way we can do a vote, if we need to bring these people in for a presentation, would that work? Could we do that? Let me ask Mike and Sharon. Not for next month, but like for the following month, like let's see the interest and make sure we have.
That, I agree with that.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because we don't want to show up light to a meeting.
We're gonna have to have some consensus about.
And do you want a
what direction.
special meeting, or do you want it at village council?
I think the regular meeting, everybody knows we meet
Okay.
the second Monday.
Can you contact Dave and have him put it up on the,
That's what I was just thinking of putting up on the board, saying come to the next 2 meetings, let's discuss Leonard moving either way towards the sewers. But yes, I agree with you on that.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, with that. I guess I'm supposed to give a report here. And my usual-
should somebody check with them to make sure they could come in 2 months?
Yeah,
Before we
we'll do that.
Decide that?
I will do that. Jimmy, write that down. I will do that.
You will do that, or Judy will do that?
Please, I forgot to please. Okay. Okay, DPW, Don's been out patching, road, forestry's just rough. I mean, it's really breaking up, but I think we're gonna have to look at, later in the year, seeing if we can get it crack sealed. Get West Elmwood and Forest Street one of those commercial crack sealing companies and get it done. I don't think John can do it by himself, and the little machine we have it's fine for small jobs, but not for what we've got, what we're seeing now. So I think that's it for the DPW. We had no FOIA requests. Also, we've had no applications that I'm aware of for the block grant assistance. I did send 2 letters out on ordinance enforcement, one to 4285 Forest and the other to 31 East Elmwood. It looks to me like they fixed the dangerous part of the building, like it was flapping in the wind and all that. They put some screws and some wood up there, I think. So, and they've removed a couple of fixtures, but there are some exposed wires on the front of the building. So I guess I'll send them another note. And then 4285, unless there's a specific suggestion from council, the next step is to ticket them. They have not responded, and they have not made a significant change in the property that I can see as far as cleaning it up and getting it. You're allowed 1 unregistered vehicle, and they've got more than 1. So
Is that Ames' old place?
yeah, yeah. So that's where I am on this, unless anybody has an objection to that process. Okay. And then we got a note from Oakland County that May is going to be Mental Health Month. That might be singularly appropriate for the sewer issue anyways. So moving on then, Summer Festival Committee.
Everything's good.
Okay.
Had a meeting and everything's good.
Did the Cable Commission have its open house yet?
No, they have a meeting April 29th, and as far as I know, that's going to be their open house.
Oh.
I have not heard different, so.
Good.
That's the only meeting that's scheduled at the new place, yeah.
Okay, Decorating Committee, I haven't heard anything.
No, there's a meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Just so you know, the new banners have been ordered and,
Have they come in?
no, they're being shipped directly to
Oh,
here.
okay.
So, they're not in yet. He just sent the approval and we approved it last week before.
That's good. North Oakland Transportation Authority, they're buying a new bus to replace an older bus, so they're not adding a new route. And they did purchase a new they purchased a facility over in Oxford. Looks like it's going to be really add a lot, a measure of stability and better maintenance and everything for the operation, giving it a permanent home. So that's a big deal. And I'm sure they'll have an open house if and when they get to the point where they can do that. Planning Commission, I don't believe we have anything this month for them, do we?
No, I don't have anything up at the office.
Okay. Well, I don't know that there's a need to meet. So I'm going to recommend that we cancel the meeting for April. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor of the motion to cancel the Planning Commission meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Pollyant Trail, have a meeting, I believe it's the 20th of this month. Had some trees down just west of the village limits. They've been cleaned up. It's that time of year for that kind of activity. Village Park, I think we're canceling the meeting this month.
Yeah, well, we decided we'd have it in May.
Have it in May.
We need more members, so if
Right.
anybody's interested in volunteering.
Yep.
I'll put a note out there.
Good.
Yeah,
When I cancel the meeting, I'll ask for volunteers for the May.
And I'm gonna get some more wood chips delivered, see what we can do. And then Community Development Block Grant, well, we already discussed it, so I don't know if there's anything new there. Does any of the council have anything else they wish to bring before us? Anybody else?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Thank you for coming tonight. Good to see you.